The Force Unleashed games are just I can fix him the video game.
Right.
Like
so is my teen years and early 20s. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, BBs. It's too early.
Sure is.
Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan.
And when we say good morning, BBs, we hope that you know that BBs doesn't include union blockers or anti-Semites, because you have to make that clear, apparently, these days.
It would appear that there's too many in the world to not specify.
Yeah, so good morning to not those people, but good morning to all of you who are watching, because you're cool.
There's obviously a big story there. I don't think we're a video game news show.
You know it. You know it. We know it.
If you don't, go know it.
I know it.
From somewhere other than here.
Zorak know it. Brack know it. Moltar know it. We all know it.
We all know it. Hi, Becca. I love you. Good morning.
Hi, Becca. Hey, I'll tell you this.
Tell us.
I last night jumped on that Pokemon again. You know, I've been playing the Pokemon a lot.
Yeah. Playing
a lot of that Pokemon. I've been playing Violet. I'm a future boy. Best Pokemon game ever.
Yeah.
They released a big update for it, Saige.
I told you they were going to do it.
I mean, we all knew that there was a big update coming.
They were going to patch.
We knew that they had to. The update that dropped is a gig, which doesn't sound huge until you remember that Nintendo games are like 3.5 gigs.
Yeah.
So they dropped a lot. And here's what I'm going to say. Feels maybe a little less buggy, but they certainly haven't gotten to performance yet.
Okay.
That's what I'll say.
All right.
I feel like maybe it's chugging along a little steadier. I don't know. I didn't get any crashes last night. I have gotten a couple full-on game crashes since I started playing. But, you know, feels good. It's still the best Pokemon game ever. That's the thing, is they've got us and they know it.
Which is very exciting to hear from you, because you're not a huge Pokemon guy. I
am not a huge Pokemon person. I love the concept of Pokemon. I love the idea of a chandelier that has animus. You know what I mean? I love the idea of a key ring that has a sense of self. These things are all good. Maybe a dog is sometimes a cinnamon roll, and that makes me very happy.
God.
But you know, when the games came out, I was just a little bit older, and so for me, it was like, this is a baby RPG for babies. And I didn't really give it a chance.
I'm baby.
It's the whole world is baby. I am now baby. But I will say this, you know, because, you know, I went back earlier this year and I started playing the earlier ones because I never had.
Right.
And one of the things that struck me about it when I started playing was like at a time when RPGs were very cruel and unfair in a lot of ways to players, just to like kind of kick up some artificial difficulty. I know words, and I say them all the time. Pokemon was very humane to the player. It was very humane to the player. It was because, and I think, you know, partially because it was for kids, but I think a lot of those ideas were things that like RPGs needed.
Yeah.
Fast forward to now, I liked Arceus a lot. Sword and Shield, I was like, okay on. But this, whoo, baby. This and Pokemon Go are my two favorite Pokemon games.
Rough. That's a rough answer.
I know.
I'm excited that you like this one. That's really great. I haven't gotten to spend a lot of time in it. As you know, I've been a real handy lady.
Yeah.
As of late. So I've been playing very little games this week because company is coming.
Listen, this is a thing that Saige and I stare at each other and say.
Every time that we have to clean our homes, one of us will say to the other, even if it's not true, company is coming. When I moved into my new place, I was like trying to clean it up, and it was during the pandemic, and Saige was like, wow, you're really like focused on cleaning up. I was like, company's coming. At some point, company is coming. Someday company will come.
Someday company will come. You know that song from Snow White.
Yeah.
First animated movie to use a multi-plane camera and to talk about company coming. That's a little Disney trivia for you. So how about that?
Well, that's very exciting. I'm super excited to get into the slightly less buggy version of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Very excited about that. Should we talk about other things getting slightly less buggy?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that, and then we should hit. It was a big trailer.
We got
day
some
yesterday.
big trailers. We got some big trailers while we're in it.
We have some big trailers and a Transformers trailer.
And a special guest later, which we haven't talked about on the show yet. We just talked about on social. Sam Whitwer is going to be joining us at around 9 o'clock. We're going to be taking a quick BRB. We're going to go grab our guest, and then we will be coming back to talk about Callisto Protocol and Riverdale.
And Riverdale, and so many things. So many things.
And you know we love to talk about Riverdale in this show. But the thing that we're hoping is getting a little less buggy is Dungeons & Dragons.
Dungeons & Dragons, hey, is that one D&D. We talk about it all the time on Failed Save.
No, we talk about D&D 1 on Failed Save.
We talk about D&D 1.
We made up our own version of the game, and that when we break the rules, those are D&D 1
In D&D 1, all of your colors are feelings.
Right. But 1D&D is releasing a bunch of Unearthed Arcana, of course, as they try and put together an entirely new game system. I'm a huge fan of the Unearthed Arcana system. I love playing UA as somebody who plays the game so much. It's fantastic to have just refreshed content or early content. But also, we have seen it genuinely make a huge impact in how these books and the games come out. The feedback that you give, if you are somebody who does give feedback on UA, can be super impactful for what you want to see in it. One of those being, in the initial announcements for 1D&D, a lot of people were very upset, us included, that they were still going with race
that's
as a term.
Not a good look.
It was not a good look, and it was something players have been requesting for so long, and it felt like a big oversight to continue doing so when it was pretty easy to change.
Yeah.
It's obviously a large change to the system, but you know what people want, and I'm sure there will always be a high up Hasbro executive balancing the we don't want to come across as woke and lose our 85-year-old players, but finally there's been an adjustment to it. It isn't quite the adjustment that people were looking for.
No, they've gone, Saige, to species.
Yeah, so they said this month, Unearthed Arcana playtest is accompanied by an important change as we replace race as a term moving forward into 1D&D.
Now, in some of the Unearthed Arcana that they were using, they for a little while they were hitting hard the word lineage.
Now that was not for 1D&D. That was previously something used actually for Ravenloft. Because
there it is.
They were touching into a territory of things that aren't races, like being reborn.
But hey,
a Dampier.
But here's the thing: we really liked that term.
We did. Lineage was a very viable option.
I think that could have been. I think that could have been brought over universally to everything.
I agree.
Because when you talk about your lineage or ancestry or something like that, that to me feels a little less icky. Of course, there are people in the real world that cling to terms like lineage and ancestry in a bad way, but it's better than I think race or species.
I agree. And it's going to be tough because I was looking a lot at the discourse on Twitter about it, which is never a good place to read discourse, but there I was. And there was a lot of people in that where it's like, hey, you can be speciesist. Yes, absolutely. Speciesism is a real thing. And the correlation between the words race and species is also deeply connected in the way that we started forming the separation of races by belief that it was a different species. It's real fucked.
Yeah, it gets into phrenology area, and I don't like that.
It gets into a real fuck territory, which feels like they didn't really change anything at all. There are also people that are like, lineage wouldn't be right because some people can be racist about people's lineage, and ancestry can't be right because you can be racist about people's ancestry.
Well, here's the thing. Yes. There will still be bad characters and bad people in campaigns and in the real world. The question is, what is the term that is not just the most palatable? This is not just about what's the nicest, sweetest thing to say. This is about what also most accurately depicts what is happening in these games. And, to just boil down a character to race or species, that doesn't encompass everything that could be going on with an individual.
It doesn't, and it is a lot more inherently weaponized by a broader scope. It's going to be hard to find a word that's going to make everyone happy. But I will tell you right now that this isn't it.
Yeah, but above and beyond that, how are you feeling? Did you look it over?
I did. So right now, what they're highlighting is the updates to the cleric class. It's very interesting. They've made it a little more challenge in the cleric class up front. You don't get your subclass until level 3. I think right now it's 2 for cleric. I don't play a lot of clerics, so forgive me if I'm wrong on that. But as we know with 1D&D, there's going to be things that are like feats that you get access to as you level up.
Yep.
Those will all be available to you by level 14, which is very cool. I think that you would have a very complete and like playable character by then. And hell, by then, start multi-classing. You've got all your shit.
We talked a bit about the new feats, how they're doing the new feats in 1D&D, and if you didn't see that, we really like it. We like it. So they're making some very good playable changes. They're making things. I feel like, so when 5e came out, there were a lot of people that missed some of the crunchiness, which, like, come on, it was a little too crunchy. But I like that they're kind of like getting rid of the crunchiness, but not mechanics. It feels like now that 5e's been around for such a long time, and we're moving into this new ongoing living document of D&D that they're trying to make, they're figuring out the difference between pure crunchiness and a mechanic, which I love, because mechanics should be frictionless for a player.
Yeah,
that's good game design.
Yeah.
Whereas like crunchiness is just like, let me roll 18 things and check 30 tables to see what's going on.
Right.
And I love that they're moving more towards, no, there are much more rules here, but they're flexible rules. You can do more things with them. And I think 5e was also, we talked about, 5e was a little scary for people who don't naturally jump into like improvisational storytelling, because it was a little like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, it gives you more that sort of player, more guideposts early on.
It has more and also less. We'll talk about the backgrounds, for instance, and custom backgrounds. That's something that gives longtime players or people who are really into the role play and the writing of it all an opportunity to be extremely freeform with their character, because you can build a custom background that is suited specifically to your character. Because a lot of the time, I don't know about you, but a lot of the time you're building something, you're like, yeah, I mean, technically, this is kind of the closest background.
I'm picking the mechanics I want, and then I'll tell you what this character is about.
Exactly.
You know?
So that's going to be very, very cool. But then there will be things in the book that are like, hey, here's some examples of that. But that is going to be something that probably intimidates some players, which is going to be interesting to see. I'm not a fan of the like D&D used to be crunchier, D&D used to be more crunchy, blah, 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 blah. I'm not a fan of that, because really what they mean is D&D used to keep more people from playing it, and it was my special hobby and not so popular. I don't want it to be so popular where everyone can learn it, because I felt special for knowing the mechanics.
And listen, if you're somebody who likes a crunchier game, there are certainly crunchier games out there. You can still run a crunchier game if you want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's no arguing that the initial D&D was a game made by game designers for other game designers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, it's okay that it's not as crunchy, and you can add crunchiness back in however you want. That's the fun thing about like running your own campaign. You know, there's so many people that run homebrew and custom rules or custom encounters or different kind of things for characters. Yeah. You can have home rules.
I love home rules. Okay, I only recently started DMing D&D, actually, because I'd only run other systems. I don't know why. I held off from running D&D specifically for so fucking long. But I ran our Patreon game this last weekend, and I was like, there's a couple things I want to do, so I'm just going to take them from it. So I added a 10 candles mechanic and a Blades in the Dark mechanic, just because I like them, and they make me happy. Yeah. And it helps to flesh out a world, especially if you need to establish a world very quickly.
We're very lucky in that we have... we know a lot of people that are GMs that are very creative and set a real example, at least for me, set a real example of that mixing and matching and how you can be creative within it. And I think that's a more important thing to take away than any rule set.
Yeah.
You know?
So the UA looks interesting. I hope that they accept a lot of the feedback that they're going to receive about the word species and continue to workshop what that word would be.
Yeah. Look, we got more game stuff to talk about, but we have got to jump into this. It was trailer day yesterday.
It was trailer day yesterday, and it's a big day. And boy, are we going to get hit for showing all these trailers, but we got to show them.
If Lucasfilm hits us this week, the same week that they owe me on an invoice, I'll tell you what, that's rude.
They will.
They will.
Hey, Anthony, as the person who handles the back end, they will.
First of all, it's here. I did not expect it to be out this quickly, but we have it. The trailer for Indiana Jones 5, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. How do you feel? How do you feel when you heard that? When I heard that initially, I was like, maybe that's a little silly. And then I went, wait a minute. My two favorite Indiana Jones things are called Temple of Doom and Fate of Atlantis.
Yeah, no, it didn't feel silly to me at all. It felt like an Indiana Jones title.
I think Dial of Destiny, I think it's the first one that has like alliteration, which is why it hit me differently. But
it's so weird how negative the chat is being about this title. What do you mean? It's not that weird.
It's not that weird or that different.
Like, it's Dial of Death. Why is that so weird?
Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, Fate of Atlantis, Infernal Machine. Like,
the only normal one
was Raiders.
Yeah, it was Raiders. That's it.
I like it. It's fine. But what's important is that, or Crystal Skull.
Yeah, Crystal Skull.
Like, it's fine. What's really important, though, is the trailer. So let's take a look at some of this trailer.
It's so important. Oh my God, it's so important.
Sala. So I love that Sala's there immediately from moment one. So this shot here, or not this shot, there's a shot that's coming up. There's some, well, we'll talk about it. I just really enjoy this. There she is. Okay, that shot. We're going to talk about that shot in a minute.
Ooh.
And that shot.
Oh my God.
We're going to talk about that.
I watched that shot so many times, Anthony.
So, this is, of course, directed by James Mangold, who did Logan. And what's funny is they talked a lot about all the practical effects. Which is really funny because there's a lot of digital in this, but
yeah.
But like, Harrison Ford's 80 years old. Let it go.
Right?
We can't. I mean, look.
It's a good trailer.
It's a great trailer.
Tell me otherwise.
It's a great trailer.
I won't hear it. It's a great trailer.
I love it. Now, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is playing Helena, his goddaughter. Now, who are Helena's parents? That's the question. Who is Indiana Jones close enough to that he would be the godparent of this child? I have two guesses. Number one is Marcus Brody, who, of course, the actor has passed away and was always there on the sidelines in Indiana Jones.
Right.
Number two, maybe Willie from Temple of Doom.
Interesting.
Maybe it's Willie's kid. I don't think it is, though, just because they hit on Marion and Mutt in Crystal Skull.
Life Serial has an interesting theory, which I think that she's Sala's kid. That's why he's in the beginning.
That's interesting. But
that's an interesting theory.
Yeah, but okay, so here's why I don't want that. Because if so, and Sala's not with them later on in the movie, that means very sad times for Sala.
Yeah.
And I don't want that because Sala is one of my favorite characters in the franchise.
You know what this did, Anthony? This made me want to do an Indiana Jones rewatch for the first time in, like, I don't know, 10 years?
Ooh,
It's been so long since I've done an Indiana Jones rewatch, and I'm talking all the way through, no skips.
We're talking young Indiana Jones every episode. We're talking she's going to have the study guides.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy thing. If you were in school when Young Indiana Jones the series was out, it came with study guides for history teachers.
Oh.
Because all of the episodes in the first season, George Lucas was like, they have to have something to do with real historical events. So I remember getting a study guide about the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand because it was talked about in the first episode of Young Indiana Jones.
Now that's very funny. Obviously, I in no way, not an ounce of my being, trust George Lucas to handle interpretations of history at all.
Sure.
No, bad, not good. I don't want that
Well,
at
look.
all. And Indiana Jones is not necessarily remembered for being the most culturally sensitive when dealing with history.
But the most historically accurate.
There are many misinterpretations and weird versions of
Historically accurate. That is what the Ark of the Covenant looks like. That is exactly where they found the Holy Grail. These are all real things. That crystal skull, that's where they found it.
Yep.
I do want to talk about two of those shots.
Yeah.
The first, Saige, was this one. Saige, I swore when I first watched that trailer and I was just excited.
Yeah, that it was footage.
I thought it was from Last Crusade.
Yep. Because it looks so fucking good.
I thought it was from, I remembered it as a moment from Last Crusade where they go to the Nazi book burning. I was like, they're going back to that.
Yeah.
And then when they showed the other shot of him, which I think is in this article as well.
That's incredible CGI. I'm losing it.
Yeah, here it is. When that happened quickly, I thought that was also from Last Crusade. I thought that was from the scene where he goes, no ticket. On the Zeppelin.
Nope.
This is wild. And of course, we only see 2 tiny clips of it in motion, but we know that
it looks incredible.
this is something that, Lucasfilm and ILM have been working on for a long time, obviously, and they chose not to go with a fully CG younger version,
right?
Which they've tried to do in the past. This is clearly like a deep faked Harrison Ford.
I'm hoping they don't overuse it. I hope it's tiny amounts. It's just slivers and moments of it. But goddamn, does it look so good?
Yeah.
Just be sparing with it.
So people are asking when this one takes place. This one's, I believe, in 1969. Nice. This is nice. This is. Clearly Harrison Ford is 80. I don't know that he's playing Indiana Jones at 80, but he's playing him, older. So this is after everything else we've seen. I wonder how Mutt died.
Buddy. I'm going to go rewatch all the Indiana Jones.
If you have any friends at Lucasfilm, don't text them all day asking them how Mutt died. They don't like that.
No?
No. They don't think that's funny. Here's what I want to know. I do want to know, there should be a moment where Mutt shows up. It's his son. There should be a moment where Shia LaBeouf shows up. I would love to see that, but here's the thing.
He's available.
I would love to see sort of like I would love to see for the last Indiana Jones adventure, as many of Indy's wards and friends and whoever else to show up. I want Short Round.
Yeah, of course.
I want Ke-Huy Quan in this.
Absolutely, of course.
I want Short Round in this so much.
If no one else, if you could only pick one, I agree.
I want justice for Short Round. I want justice for Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
The best Indiana Jones movie. I know I'm one of tens of us who thinks that. But I love that film so much.
Ms. Reaper said, should we all get bullwhips and fedoras? And I say absolutely yes. Look, let me tell you something.
Tell us something.
As someone who has access to friends' whips, cracking a bullwhip is maybe one of the greatest feelings in the world. When it makes the noise, I cannot recommend it enough. Buy yourself a bullwhip. Go into a grass area, a park, a yard, whatever, and crack that shit. break that sound barrier. There's nothing cooler in the whole fucking world. It's very
I
fun.
100% agree. And let me show you, Saige, because we are just on the same page most times. Here's the first thing I tweeted when I saw this. Here's to all the parents that are gonna have to buy and then take away a whip from their kid this summer. I hit myself in the eye like 3 times before my mom finally said, okay, here, you can play more video games.
Yeah.
Listen, I want nice hats to come back. You know I want this.
I know that you do, but you also don't know how to pick out a nice hat.
I don't know how to pick out a nice hat, but here's the other thing. The fedora was co-opted and turned horrible.
Yeah, I'm not pro fedora, to be honest.
No, but I would like us all to wear nice hats again. I think that's fun.
I wear hats.
Yeah, you do. You wear hats.
I wear big wide brim goth hats.
But if I'm gonna wear if I wear anything except like a beanie or a ball cap, people are like, what? People are like, what? Why you do that? Why you do that? I want hats to come back.
We've got friends who successfully wear hats. It's all about the hat choice.
It's all about hat choice and confidence.
That was not the only big trailer.
No.
It was far from it. We also got the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Now this one, we will get a takedown for.
Yep.
But.
Hey, buddy. Both. Let me tell you, both. We're going to mute this one.
We're going to mute this one.
So much music.
We're going to mute this one, which is a shame because this trailer brings back one of the greatest songs of all time, Space Hogs in the Meantime.
Oh, God.
I had it muted. What are you doing?
I know, but I had to move the mouse off because I was holding it up there so I couldn't see the captions.
Here we go. This is such a good open.
This is a great trailer.
Ugh. It's a good open.
I'm having, obviously, a hard time because, man, I used to enjoy the Guardians so much, and I want to get back to it.
Well, I'll tell you this film, from what we're seeing, in addition to bringing back Space Hog, is heavy on Rocket.
Which I'm here for.
Very heavy on Rocket, very heavy on Groot. Now, we don't know, obviously, the status of Gamora.
But
she's looking at a picture of something. She's looking at a Polaroid, which is an Earth picture.
She's looking, well.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks so good. The colored, like, 1960s spacesuits.
Yeah.
Very visually, like...
I'm surprised how much they spoiled the Gamora stuff in this trailer, in my opinion.
Just by showing her?
The multiple shots of her, like, with the squad.
Adam Warlock!
Yep.
Adam Warlock!
Yeah.
Adam Warlock! Here's a fun thing.
Groot's big now.
A fun thing is introducing Adam Warlock after the Infinity Saga.
Yep.
I think that's fun. What does Adam Warlock do after the Infinity Saga by in terms of getting?
Am I late?
Yeah. Hey, what's up? You guys doing anything?
Did I miss anything?
Hey, I'm here looking for I'm looking for a few stones that are like, oh, they're good. Oh, okay, great, perfect.
Yeah. I think that it's a very good trailer. It feels like it went by very, very quickly. It packed a lot into it. I do feel like the Gamora stuff was like a little more than I wanted to see in the trailer. It was specifically the shot in them in like the prison oranges all together.
Yes.
It's just like, okay, well.
Yeah.
We know they find Gamora.
Well, I think for me the question was less, do they find Gamora and what does Gamora know / remember? What does she think of them?
Yeah.
Like that sort of stuff. I think that's what the core of the story is going to be. So I didn't mind it so much. The shot of her looking at a photo, like a Polaroid, though, like you're right, is like, that's an Earth picture for Earth people.
Yeah. What's
going on here?
Yeah, there was just a lot in there where I was just like, oh, okay, we didn't really leave a lot of questions there, but all right, that's cool.
But of course I love Adam Warlock. I was just sitting for a long time, Saige, as I think a lot of us were, going, if Marvel keeps going for a long time, they're just going to get to the weird stuff.
Yep.
They're going to run out of everything.
Timeline.
They're going to run out of everything, and it's just going to be weird stuff. And then it's going to be me watching Adam Warlock and the Silver Surfer and Sleepwalker and Slapstick and Moon Knight just doing
and you're like halfway there, dude.
Just doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the dumb shit. Yeah. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for it. We also got a Transformers trailer.
Yeah.
Which, when I look at the views, is actually doing insanely well in comparison to these two movies.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually kind of crushing in terms of views. Surprisingly, Indy was at the lowest number,
which is shocking to me. Does everyone just watch it on Twitter? I don't know.
I think a lot of it. I'm looking at YouTube numbers, and I do think a lot of it has to do with with age range and brackets and stuff and demographics and things like that. But like let's be fair, kids don't know Indiana Jones.
Right.
Kids know the Transformers.
Which doesn't make any sense. It's so wild. And it's not me being like an old thing. It's just like, show your kids Indiana Jones. It's Indiana Jones.
Yeah. I mean, like the old, Blade of Creation in the live studio audience is saying like the oldest Indy fans don't use YouTube, and the youngest people out there aren't Indy fans yet. But they know Marvel and they know Transformers. And that's okay. They're going to know Indy too. And I will say
But God, the first Indy movie is 80-year-old Harrison Ford with these kids.
Yeah, I think so. The reason why Transformers is doing insanely high is because this is Beast Wars, which we're over the 80s kid hump, and we are now into the 90s kids. So this is huge. I think this trailer got a lot of play just simply because it is Beast Wars. And I'll tell you this, I don't know if I'm excited about Transformers films anymore. Like, I like that the robot gorilla comes out.
I can tell you
That's
definitively,
fun.
I am not excited for Transformers films anymore. But I like the idea of getting into the beasts of it all.
Yeah, get into the beasts of it all.
I was like, okay, but I haven't seen the last few Transformers.
So
I never liked the Transformers movies.
So I like the opening there, where it's like we're out of the city, and the beast, the beast Transformers are there, and then this moment on, this is a standard Transformers trailer that I've seen 100 times. It's like, I'm not driving, it's not me, whoa, car is robot, and I'm like,
I've never liked the live action films.
I loved the first one. I thought it was 100 times better than it had any right to be. And I'm saying this as a kid who loved Transformers.
This as somebody who's into the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
And but that's not irrelevant here.
No, it's not irrelevant here, but it is like, I was shocked that they made a coherent, fun Transformers movie that I enjoyed. The second one was okay, and then I just really sort of fell off of them. Bumblebee was all right. Bumblebee was cool. It's, it's a horse girl movie, which is fun. But it's just, they've gotten a little better at clarity of action, which I think was the biggest problem with Transformers, is like, you would watch the robots fighting, and you'd be like, I can't tell what's happening. This looks like a little better. Like they've figured out how to like keep the action clear and followable. That's a fun shot. I love that.
Yeah. The trailer was not super impressive to me. I was just like, yeah. In theory, when they were like, hey, we're doing Rise of the Beasts, I was like, oh, okay. And then I watched the trailer and I was like, yeah.
Saige?
Transformers, what, Anthony? You're turning your laptop away.
I'm going to give you some Transformers movie titles, and you tell me if they're real or not, okay?
Oh, God. I think I've only seen the first two.
That's okay.
Okay.
Transformers, The Fall of Man.
Real.
Fake.
Fuck.
Transformers, Dark of the Moon.
Real.
Real.
Yes, I know this. Okay.
Transformers, Age of Extinction.
Fake.
Real.
Fuck.
Transformers, The Last Knight. Knight.
Fake.
Real.
What?
Real. And it's about how Transformers have been behind every large political movement in the world ever.
Why? Why is that
the Transformers work with the Knights Templar.
Okay.
I thought there were at least 17 Transformers movie. It turns out that this is only like the 7th.
Oh, only.
Only. I thought it was maybe, actually, I thought if you had to get me to guess what number it was, I would have said 5, but it was 7. Anyway, Transformers is coming, and sometimes they're animals, and pretty dope.
That's something.
That's something.
In other big film television news, we got the announcement for The Mandalorian, of course, returning on March 1st. How you feeling? Are you ready? Are you ready to get back in? Yeah, he's ready. Yeah, he's ready.
I'm ready.
What's very interesting, I actually found this very interesting in this tweet, that they specifically put The Mandalorian and Grogu return on March 1st.
Grogu's the biggest character ever. Grogu's the star of that show.
I know, but to write it like that in that tweet when you have a name of a show from like a branding perspective, it's very unusual for a company to mislabel like the name of the show essentially for that. So like that's a big fucking deal.
I think they should call it that.
I actually zoomed in on the corner immediately to be like, did they change the title?
The Adventures.
Like, I was wondering if they had genuinely changed it to The Mandalorian and Grogu.
The Adventures of Mando and Grogu is what it should be called. My little sister, who does not like a Star Wars, watched all of Mandalorian and calls it The Adventures of Baby Yoda.
Great.
And whatever it takes to get her to watch that,
I love that.
I'm into it.
I think that's great. I'm super excited. Originally, I was like, wow, March is so far away. And then I was faced with the crushing reality that March is not so far away. So we'll be watching the next season of Mandalorian very soon.
Very soon. In other Star Wars news, I want to mention this because this is pretty wild to me. You know, there's a lot of like... Andor is very good.
Andor's so fucking good.
Andor.
Don't show that picture. It's a spoiler.
Okay. Andor was very good. What we will say, instead of showing that spoiler, is what we will say is there is a part in Andor where somebody shouts out, "Fight the Empire." Mm-hmm. Apparently, for a very long time, and it was recorded this way, that line was "Fuck the Empire."
So fucking cool. That's so cool.
Now,
headcanon forever. I'm never going to hear it as anything else.
Now, I think it's cool, but I also think I like "Fight the Empire" better. I love that the intent was "Fuck the Empire." But here's the thing. Does the word fuck exist? There's something about bringing the word fuck into it that makes it feel like, and that makes it feel just like, that's kind of like a very Earth curse word. And then also, it's a little, it would have felt like they did it just to do it.
Not from that character, it wouldn't have. Not from that character. I am going to die on this hill that from that character in particular, for those who have seen Andor and those who yells, "Fight the Empire," from who it was from, it absolutely would have landed.
I think it
100% would not have been edgelord coming from them.
I think it's such a tonal shift. And such like from the whole show is already a tonal shift. I just think it would have been a lot. I probably would have liked it, but I could see the majority of the audience being like, not for me.
I was already crying. I was already crying through it. That's it. I love it, and I think it's excellent. I do understand why Disney didn't do it.
Yeah. I mean, Flatlander is saying, to be fair, they said shit during the series, and I was like, yeah, and it was a little weird to me when they said shit.
Yeah?
Yeah, just because Star Wars has just never, and you know, because it's always a family thing, and this is clearly for Andor's for an older audience, but Star Wars just doesn't curse. And when they do curse, they come up with like space words. They've always come up with space words. And so it was like the shit was like a little weird to me. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think the screaming of fuck would have been like, whoa, okay.
I think if we're just specifically, because we're on this specific planet, if we're canonizing that this kind of like struggling lower class community has these swear words in it when they're being actively oppressed, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. Canonize it for that planet, for that community, for whatever. I'm cool with it. Give them the swear words.
I see it both ways.
Only that planet swears. in the whole galaxy.
And
I'm being
Ferrix? That's the swear planet.
I'm being very vague intentionally. Yeah, Ferrix.
Ferrix is the swears planet where the people do swears.
The people of Ferrix swear. They made up those words.
Mom, I'm going out, okay? But don't go to Ferrix because they do the swears. I don't like you hanging out on Ferrix.
They made it up. It's their slang.
Yeah.
It's Ferrix slang. It's good. I like it.
Well, it's also funny and like because Mando and Boba Fett have spent 2 years trying to make Dank Ferric a thing. And it's like they've been very specifically avoiding swearing. And then the fact that they said shit in Andor also makes it weird that they're saying Dank Ferric. And it's like, I know you know how to swears.
Maybe they've never been to Ferrix.
The swears planet.
As everyone is in the chat calling Swearix.
Swearix. I love it.
Oh, I don't have a secret. I want you to lean in for better camera framing.
Oh. So yeah, I listen, Andor is cool.
Andor is so cool.
Listen, Andor's cool. Listen, even if the show doesn't say it, Andor fucks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Andor absolutely fucks.
Yeah, 100%.
So you should watch Andor. So listen, all these trailers are coming out, right? And I thought it was so funny because the Guardians trailer comes out. But James Gunn, like the day before the Guardians trailer comes out, tweets this. The next few months are going to be real weird. It's going to be real weird.
Can I give a piping hot take?
Give the hottest take.
I'm so over James Gunn.
Whoa, hot take.
I'm so over James Gunn. I'm so over the cult of James Gunn. I'm so over the Twitter of James Gunn. I'm so over the articles of it. And honestly, the movies.
Well, I'll tell you this.
I'm over the it's good because it's James Gunn of it all. It's just, I don't care. And I don't like it. It's becoming grouped in with this like, the James Gunn guys are becoming as bad as the Snyder guys. That's
the thing that we don't want, right? There are some things that we love that have been ruined by the fans of those things. And you certainly don't want to see that happen. What I will say is, though there is some sort of like there is a cult of James Gunn that's coming up here. I think DC fans are just they're just looking for some stability.
But
they're just looking for some, you know.
I think it was before the DC thing because the cult was surrounding him at Marvel, and every time there's a movie that they don't like or that's led by a woman, they're like, should have been a James Gunn movie. James Gunn could have done it.
Sure.
Every time. It's just this idea of a bunch of people who think that they're film critics who have actually no understanding of like quality of film and approach with like immense amounts of biases and have just latched onto a name that they know because they made a superhero movie that they like and are like, I know what would have made this movie better. It's James Gunn. When they have no idea what that means. Like, it's like meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. You're not saying
like there
anything.
Are movies like he's
Twitter film bros, but
he's
not
good
like
at
pretentious film bros.
He's good at a specific style and tone as all good directors are.
It's the people that showed up for the Suicide Squad that didn't like Birds of Prey. No, those are James Gunn bros.
I know what you're saying. What I'm saying is he's good at a specific style and tone, and so it's like
it's played out.
I don't like when people say, you know, he's at the head of DC. That doesn't mean the next Superman movie is going to be a James Gunn Superman movie.
But the whole
if he's smart, and he is, I think he will hire a director that will give Superman the tone that it needs. I think one of the problems with DC was that it was for a long time entirely led by one director and that style, because they didn't make him a creative director. They just made him the director of every movie. Yeah. So I think what people are happy for is the fact that there is somebody that they see as creative at the helm of DC, where you can be like, all of these movies have to fit together in a way. There has to be a timeline. We can't argue over how these movies fit together. We can't undo and redo each other's work. Like, they just need somebody to do that. And I think that's what DC fans are most excited about. I do think there is a chunk of those fans like you're talking about. Listen, anybody who does kind of snarky or sarcastic or edgy humor, unfortunately has that fan base.
And I'm tired of it.
And I just don't like that.
I just think that like it's fun for a movie, but if that is all you do, I'm not interested.
Yeah, like I like Guardians.
Sure.
Like I like Guardians because he's got oversight that's pulling him back from being as like Guardians
not making the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, Guardians is not Peacemaker or the Suicide Squad. And I'm hoping that's because he knows the difference and not because Marvel was like, pull it back, bud, pull it back.
And I'm not letting, Billy Sunrider said, I think letting the people who like the thing keeping you from liking the thing is silly, especially since James Gunn has actively pushed against those people and bad actors in some instances. Yes and no. First of all, a community can ruin a property and there's no disagreeing with that. Like that's just simply ignoring the time that we live in.
Rick and Morty, for
instance. But second of all, James Gunn feeds into it. James Gunn will be like, I don't want this. But like he knows he has a Twitter cult and there's no arguing that he doesn't and that he doesn't feed and play to the Twitter cult. And that's fine, but I don't have to like it, quite simply. No one is keeping me from liking it. I'm saying I think that his humor is played out. I think that his movies are oversaturated. I think that we, as a society, have overpraised his work when it could have just been some good movies. They've made it like this has to be the best thing and the only good superhero movies are James Gunn superhero movies and James Gunn can always come to the rescue and save a superhero movie. And I think that that's boring.
Of course. Look, but you know, I think I also see what, you know, what Billy Sunrider and some of the other people are saying too, which is like, yeah, a fandom can ruin something. I don't talk about Rick and Morty. I don't, even though for a long time I enjoyed Rick and Morty. But I do see this as a good step for DC. And I do see this because there's no arguing that the DC stuff that has worked for whatever reason has been his.
He doesn't constantly trash the bros. That's how he keeps the bros, my friends. You're wanting. And I see you're wanting.
No, and I will say he does call out when people do say extremely toxic things. He does call it out, which is very unlike, say, a Zack Snyder.
There is a big difference, though, between calling out like when someone's being blatantly a bigot of some capacity and just like the Twitter cult of bros that don't understand film.
Yeah.
So look, get over it. I'm over it.
Yeah.
I'm over it. Get over it. You can like James Gunn. I'm over it personally. I'm all out of care for James Gunn.
And that's totally fine. I do think this is an upswing for DC. And as somebody who really loves DC properties, I'm happy to see that because I want to see some DC movies about the characters that I love that are done well. I will say though, my favorite DC movie is still Birds of Prey.
By far. By leaps and bounds.
I
would argue it's one of the only good DC movies in the last 10 years.
And I think if he's as cool as he and the internet want him to be, he's in talks with that team to bring those characters back, at least in other films, if not in a sequel to that, because that's a great film. I agree. Shazam is up there as well too. Shazam's fun. It's just big with superheroes. Shazam is fun and good, and I'm all for it. But y'all, it's 9:00. The witching hour. The witching hour. In theory, we need to be retrieving our guest. In theory. In theory. In theory. If the tech gods align, we'll be retrieving our guest in a moment. Yep. Yeah, I thought I liked other DC films, but in comparison to Birds of Prey, it's no contest. Yeah, look, DC in this, and like I say this as somebody who grew up reading exclusively DC comics. I didn't read a Marvel comic until I was like 18. I only read DC. I was so into it. I was all about it. And so I loved DC. Look, I really did. Here's what I'll say. James Gunn is sort of like showing favor and sort of for the things that we enjoy. Like James Gunn is in 3 episodes of Harley Quinn. Yeah. He knows that Harley Quinn is good. Yeah. I think he's got his eye. My thing is going to be what will James Gunn do with a Superman? Mm-hmm. What will James Gunn do with the Flash? The future of the Flash is very up in the air right now in a very bad way. The decisions he makes about the Flash will speak heavily as to the direction of DC. Extremely heavily. Okay, y'all.
we are going to take a quick BRB. Stick around because we are coming back with Sam Whitwer. We're going to be discussing Callisto Protocol, which of course is out today, and experience working on it, mocap, what that's all about, and we'll be back in just a second.
The series being human.
Mike's back on.
Welcome back, BBs.
Perfect.
We're
Hello.
back. We are joined now by one of the actors in the Callisto Protocol. He's done so many things, but none of them matter because he was Doomsday on Smallville, and it fucking slapped. Sam Whitwer, how are you?
Oh, let me adjust.
Can I ask you this? Do you know, is Smallville the only show you've been a part of that was also a sex cult?
Yeah, let me think about that. Because sex cults are really rather in these days. I think Smallville was the only sex cult that I was in proximity from that TMZ decided that I was part of. So that was cool. Well, it wasn't quite that insidious, but basically what happened was from Smallville. My on-screen relationship with Allison Mack was rather popular with the fans. So
Yes.
the fans decided we were dating in real life, which I was like, well, that's annoying, but whatever, fine. And then they created a whole sort of narrative where me and Allison Mack got engaged, right? So
Mazel
then
tov.
when the stuff happened later, there was a bunch of gossip sites that were like, wait, we're looking at the data. Sam Witwer was engaged to her at that time. I'm like, oh, great. So this is when making up shit about people's lives actually has a real effect. So at that point, I had to talk to my team and be like, can we threaten to sue these guys if they don't produce one photograph of me and her in public? Can we do that? And they're like, we can. I'm like, great, let's do it. You know, and at that point, TMZ's like, oh, right, okay, sorry, it was a rumor. My bad.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
The
you're
little
bad.
site wouldn't respond. They were like, no, we can do whatever we want. TMZ were like, hey, you know this is bullshit, right? And they were like, oh, and then the little sites followed suit once TMZ took it down. But I was like, you fucking dicks.
I
mean, you know,
that's
you
so
learn in high
wild.
school. What's up?
I said that's just so wild to have that be a thing that you have to deal with in your regular human life.
Talking about, man, I was like, on my social media feeds, everyone's like, what do you know? What do you know? And I'm just like, you guys are all assholes, and none of you are actually aware of what big assholes you are for believing rumors, man. Not cool.
That's so nuts. Thank goodness, a lot of our BBs in the audience here are like, what are you talking about? Look it up or don't. But don't.
Try not to.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
Don't give it the clicks.
Don't.
No, in all seriousness, like the internet and the level of like proximity people feel to you on the internet is a very strange level of removal from reality.
Mm-hmm. But
I've been pulling way back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you are part of. I mean, a lot of our audience, they're calling out all the different characters of yours that they love. We're of course getting Maul. We're of course getting Deacon. We're of course getting all of these characters. And you've been part of so many of these things. And now you're part of this Callisto Protocol, which I was very excited about because I was a huge Dead Space fan. Were you a Dead Space guy going into this?
Yeah, I love Dead Space. That was because I also love some of the games that were in the DNA of Dead Space, like System Shock 2 and stuff like that. Like, ooh, System Shock 2 was like my introduction into how good a video game could do horror.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Dead Space was one of those huge ones for us. So tell us about your character in this, because I am used to seeing you usually when you're in a game as well, protagonist. I won't say hero guy, but whenever I see your face in a game, you're usually like the guy. It seems like maybe you're a little bit of a different guy this time.
Yeah. Chris Stone actually asked me because he worked on Days Gone. And so he said, why don't we take sort of this Deacon-like character, but push him a little bit, nudge him toward being not so nice, was the idea. So yeah, that's how that came about.
And he's sort of he's a guard or some sort of like captain in a space prison.
Sure, why not? You know, and basically, okay. So the whole yes, he's the captain of the guards. He's like Clancy Brown from Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
And the way that they let me portray him was that. Because I was like, well, let's play him like this is a guy you could have a beer with. I don't drink beer, but I think people do that. And you could have a beer with this guy, and he'd be cool. It's just that if you put him in the position of having authority over you, he has a different personality because that's part of his job.
Did you
Part of his
Stanford
job
prison
is to make-
experiment him?
What's that?
You Stanford prison experimented your character?
I didn't experiment on anyone. I'm just doing my job. I experiment on no one. I wouldn't even do that. That's not. But I will maintain order in the prison. How about that?
Sure.
But, okay. Look, in terms of who this character is, I drew inspiration from this guy on a dog training channel, right?
Incredible.
So check this out. Well, look, if anyone knows anything about me, they know that I love dogs, and I have 3 rescue dogs because I keep bumping into these dogs on the street, and I'm like, "Hi, want to live with me? Cool." You know? So when I was working on training my 3rd dog, I have 3 here. Hired this trainer, and everything was going really, really well, and he was learning stuff. But then the training got more and more brutal. I'll put the choke collar on. Now, when he does something you don't want, just give him a good pop. And I'm like, dude, this guy he's a little, I mean, he's not a tiny dog, but he's a mid-sized dog. He's much smaller than me. And I go, oh, okay, like this. No, like this. And then next thing I know, he's sending me these videos. He sends me this Instagram channel, which I will not name here.
Good.
Where this guy is talking about shock collars. It's like, yeah, it gets good results. And I watched how this guy, he's sort of, it's kind of this affable guy, and he's talking about shock collars. And now here's the thing. I mean, it's not about punishment and this and that. You can dial up the thing, and this just kind of gives you, it feels like a little tickle, right? But then if you put it on this level, then it feels a little bit unpleasant. And then, and then you can dial it up to where it feels like a mule kick, And I watched a consistency with this guy, that the only time he smiled and the only time he seemed to show human joy was when he was talking about hurting a dog. I would watch the whole video. It was like the video went on for like 50 minutes, and I was like,
right. But he loves dogs. That's his thing.
Sure.
Like I love dogs. I just want the best dogs.
That's right. He was talking about like, hey, people have different, opinions in this, but this stuff works and this and that. And he seems so reasonable. But then he's talking about, yeah, but then you dial it up, and then and that's going to get their attention.
Oh no, the smile.
And you're like, dude. And I actually wrote the trainer. I'm like, you sent me this video with the intention to sell me on these training techniques. Are you recognizing this guy's a sociopath? And my trainer's like, well, this is just the way it works, and people hire me because they don't have the guts to stand up to their dog and show them who's boss. And I'm just like, you're fired, pal.
The guts to stand up to a sweet animal that depends on you.
He didn't use the word stand up, he used the
Dagger?
word discipline. People don't have the guts to discipline their dog.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it seems to me that your training technique is all about making your dog more afraid of you than anything. I don't want to do that.
Why would you want a dog? Yeah, why would you want a dog like your companion to be afraid of you, to be listening to you out of fear? Tell it to our producer.
Do you hear that, Dagger? We're going to have to show you who's boss.
You tell it to our producer. Nobody can show Dagger who's boss. He's too tough.
It's him. He's the boss.
And it was funny is I have another buddy who's a dog trainer who has been, who's supportive of me. And the moment I called bullshit on this, and I said it to him, because he's out of town, so he was giving me space because he lives in Nashville.
Yeah.
Right. So his feeling was, hey, you got to do what you got to do. Oh yeah, tell me how it's going. You're gonna do what you're gonna do. The moment I called bullshit, he's like, great. Now that you call bullshit, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
And he was just immediately like, I'm so glad you called bullshit because that's not the way to do it, man. And I'm like, yeah, it didn't feel like the way to do it. He's like, I'm so glad. He's like, okay, so now I'm going to criticize this other trainer. He's like, because from professionalism, I'm not going to do it. But now that you're calling him out and you're telling me this is where it was going, no way. And then I talked to
It was a trick.
an officer in the Army who works with the trained dogs. And she's like, this is an officer. This is a captain at this point. And she's like, yeah, it's interesting. We train dogs to do all kinds of stuff under live fire exercises, and we don't feel the need to hurt them or make them scared of us. In fact, that would be absolutely the wrong thing to do as you're trying to keep the dog's confidence on you while bullets are whizzing by and stuff like that. She's like, so it's all positive reinforcement. It's not negative reinforcement. So anyway, cut to Callisto Protocol, and he's just sort of he's a reasonable guy. He's just doing his job and this and that, and blah, blah. But when he's on the job, he's like, okay, motherfuckers, all right, how are we going to do this? Are you going to do what I told you to do? All right, let's do, so it's, and if you would ask him, he's like, no, I'm just doing my job.
And
I'm sorry if I have personality when I do my job. Have you seen my inmates? They have personality. They don't respond to anything else. So I have to be like that. So why don't you relax, have a beer, have a seat. So that's my character.
Yeah.
He's just like, just doing my job.
And that is an absolutely terrifying take on it, which I love because that's going to make him just a horrifying character to deal with throughout this game.
The scariest kind of guy.
Yeah.
And also, you guys have seen in situations, again, another dog thing where when the dog does the wrong thing, if you see the people just like filled with rage, like that somehow they are being challenged on a deep, deep level, and they just start getting really angry.
Dog.
So this guy has perhaps that character trait as well, that it's like, okay, I told you to do stuff. Oh, you're not doing it?
Yeah.
You're pissing me off. Okay, let's see what happens. You don't want to do this? Okay. Like that is, so this is who this guy is. But if you were to sit down with him and you weren't an inmate, he'd be like, hey man, how's it going? Yeah. No, have a beer. Yeah, how are you doing? Oh, did you see the game? Yeah, that was cool. Oh yeah. No, I read that book. That was an interesting book. Get him on the job. And he's like, all right, what do you want to do?
That's such a psychology that puts people constantly off balance, and I love that. I love that take.
Yeah,
I love that
we've
take.
just met, and you're terrifying.
But okay, so I want to talk about this. You are, this is not just. This is one of the times in your career where it's not just your voice and your physical performance, but this is your face. And I think you're one of a small group of people in the industry who actually has this kind of like very specific experience of, I can do all of this stuff. And like, do you just send people a 3D scan when you do your audition? Because you've been the face of so many games. I want to show a couple of them here. Obviously, one that was very, very popular with our audience as we got started here was, of course, Galen, Star Killer. We love this. I love The Force Unleashed so much.
It's so good.
So much.
I've been streaming it recently, so playing it for the first time in years, and I'm like, oh, this is really fun. They did a good job.
It's great.
I like it. I like it a lot,
and I especially love in 2 when you get to the kind of imaginary fantasy situation DLCs, and it's like, hey man, is Starkiller gonna like murder Chewbacca today? I don't know, maybe. Like, let's figure it out.
Brutal. I was like, is this respectful, guys? What are we doing here?
I love it.
I haven't played 2 in a long time. You know what? I should stream 2 as well, because the thing for me is it still sort of stings that we weren't given a proper development cycle. We were given 9 months to make that game.
Wow.
Which is, long story short, it is part of the reason why George brought in Kathy as opposed to who was there at the time.
Okay.
He's like, I need someone who I can trust, who knows what I want here, rather than someone who's going to give these poor guys 9 months. George was not pleased.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should be saying this, but I guess it's what, 13 years ago that this happened, so I'm like, I can talk about it.
Well, that's one of the things is like, it being 13, 14 years ago, I know you weren't the first person to do full performance capture and have your face in a game, but...
Who was? Who was the first?
The first person, I believe, who did their face and performance was Bruce Willis in that PS1 game that he did.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
But he didn't do full performance, though. He did facial, and they scanned him, but I don't think he did full. But they also didn't have a lot of cutscenes then because it was the PS1,
Right. So I think that the big deal, because I remember when they auditioned me, I didn't understand why they needed to see my headshot or my resume or my reel.
Right.
Like, why is that? And David Collins was like, they're doing something different, man. In fact, the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 can actually make an almost photorealistic you. And they now feel here at Lucasfilm that the body, the face, the voice, all of it is connected. So they want actors who are going to bring the full package of these characters. And that was, Cully Fredrickson as Coda, Natalie Cox as Juno,
Yeah,
and Adrian Wilkinson is married.
It was and I don't want to say that this Bruce Willis game was, like I said, I think it was mostly just facial capture and things like that. You were definitely, I think this was like, it was something that we had never seen before. I remember when I saw, years before I met you, I remember when I saw that, and then I saw like an interview, like in a GameStop or something, they were running one of the interviews, and I was like,
What the?
I was like, man look like game.
He real. He lives.
Game look like man. So I remember it was that new. Another big one that people have been bringing up is of course Deacon.
I like him too.
We love our sweet boy who's trying his best.
Now, in these where you get to see yourself in variations, do you feel like it's an opportunity to test out like a new haircut, a fashion sense change?
Because you don't have to get it. I mean, like I've grown a beard like this in a show before, but I didn't have to do it for the video game. They did it for me, and they nailed it too.
Yeah.
It rather looks like a scraggly version of my actual beard, and they did nail it because the head scan is so high resolution they can see where the hair is going to come in. They're like, right there, right there, right there, right there.
It's wild, and and then of course we have our newest guy. This is Leon Ferris right here. Very severe. We're going back to the Star Killer buzz cut.
That's right.
We love you in a buzz cut.
Yeah, I like the buzz. The buzz cut. You're boy. I love that haircut because you wake up in the morning and you're ready to go. You're ready for the day's challenges.
For this one, did you actually shave your head for it?
No, I didn't. You know what's interesting is that I was doing a head scan recently, or not head scan, full body scan actually, body, head, everything, and they were asking because I was like, I'm like, how do you predict where my skull is because I have hair? And they're like, well, we have ways of predicting that, but yes, it is a little bit tricky. And then I realized, I'm like, wait a second, I can talk to some of the old Force Unleashed devs, and they have the old scan data from back in the day, and I had a shaved head. So now I have this scan data that I'm using to supplement people. We didn't have it for Callisto, but on this other thing, using the scan data to supplement their build of my head rig.
Wow, that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
Real quick, just everybody, marry, fuck, kill. Marry, fuck, kill. Everyone. Here's what I think. I think personally you marry Deacon because we know what Deacon will do for somebody he's in a relationship with.
Yeah.
Deacon's a devoted husband. We can say that about him.
Yeah.
I think you fuck Star Killer.
Yeah.
Because the Force Unleashed games are just I can fix him the video game.
Right.
Like
so is my teen years and early 20s.
It's just like, listen, I can make sure that Galen is a good boy. Right. I can make this happen. I can turn him to the light.
Yeah, I can revert back to early 20s.
Yeah. But you don't, after a month of that, you probably don't want to keep trying it.
Right.
And then listen, fascists, am I right?
Which is so it's chic these days. It's fascist chic.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately. Yeah, no, the head veins tell me you gotta get rid of that one.
I didn't see the head veins.
Oh yeah, head veins.
Hold on. Yeah.
Oh man, in this screenshot you got hella head veins.
So this is what I love about Leon, and this has got to be weird for you. We talked a little bit about this when we were setting this up. It is your face in all three of these, but it's not your face. They'll make subtle changes, and Leon clearly has not been on CW shows for the last 15 years. He does not have a skincare routine. He doesn't moisturize, Sam.
Deacon didn't either. Deacon had mottled, messed up skin.
Yeah, but Deacon also they kind of changed your cheeks and your jaw a little bit, and your nose just a little bit.
Your features look softened.
It's what it is they wouldn't have done that on purpose. It's simply part of the process of when they build these head rigs. Because if you look at Deacon in some of the cutscenes, which are rendered in the engine in the game in real time, because I've seen me with the beard on a TV show, and boy, it's close.
Yeah.
I mean, even every little smirk, I'm like, oh, I know I do that smirk. Holy crap, that they captured that. So, that particular screenshot maybe doesn't look as much, but then my face is so weird and bony that depending on what angle you shoot me from, it looks like a different face. Mark Hamill has the same thing, which is, I wouldn't call his face bony, but Mark Hamill, depending on what angle you shoot him on, is like a different guy. It's very interesting.
It is very interesting. I mean, when you look at, there was another screenshot down there that agreed that there are some definitely more than others that look like the you we're seeing at this moment, at least.
Hey, Sam, you know what else they rendered in engine?
What's that?
You know what else they rendered in engine?
talking about. That's how it works. That's how you do it. It's the force, right? Force motorcycle, which is a power that is unnatural. He
is a rider. That's what that is he's always riding. He's never not riding.
Learn this power, not from a Jedi. Yeah. Exactly.
Also, I just wanted to give you an update. The community pretty unanimously agrees on our kill, fuck, marry order.
Yeah.
I think it's right.
They also did call it a nightmare blunt rotation.
What?
A nightmare blunt rotation.
Like you don't want to be getting high. You don't want to be getting high with these three guys. That's a bad time.
None of them.
None of them.
No, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Sam, one thing that we've noticed about you talking about this character right now, Leon, is anytime there's a review or the game itself tweets something or somebody talks about Leon, particularly in terms of being a villain, you are very quick to correct them. You've been very quick online to say, no.
It's not a villain. He's a listen, you look at the scars on his head.
Mm-hmm.
He feels it's absolutely necessary to do his job the way he's doing his job. He's been through some serious shit in that prison. So from his perspective, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Do you think these are kindergarten kids?
Mm-hmm.
Is that who you think we have in this prison? Because you're wrong. And it is my job to make them respect the authority here.
Yeah.
So, and I'm so, like I said, I'm so sorry if I do it with a little personality, but these people that's what they respond to. You don't show that, they're going to detect some weakness and they're going to take you down. Deacon was in a way the same way. I think I read some review. He's so angry all the time. Be like, in that world, if you are not projecting a feeling of I could shoot you at any second, you're probably going to get shot. In Days Gone, that we talked about that. We're like, no, he's got to be pretty aggressive at all times and only let his guard down in very select moments with Boozer or Sarah or people he actually trusts.
Yeah.
So Leon's the same way. Now, having said that, we can of course step back and look at this guy and be like, he's a bastard.
Okay, yeah. So we were wondering that because you've been on this campaign where on Twitter where you're like, hey, we're doing it all for your good. We're just trying to help you. Like we're just trying to rehabilitate you. We were wondering if maybe your emotional barometer was a little off. So
look, the best villains don't think they're the villain.
Yeah, you guys should have heard like my first and only interview for when I played Agent Liberty in Supergirl, and I was explaining his point of view, which is a completely racist point of view, and they're like,
which
I'm like, no, I'm saying that this is what the character thinks, and
which if you haven't seen it, I think it was a good villain to do for the time because you were basically like. You were basically like a Ben Shapiro or a Jordan Peterson, but a superhero, and it was terrifying.
That is the most horrifying combination of words I've ever heard.
But yeah, they gave him superpowers, and it was a nightmare. But we wanted to test, Sam, because you've been playing and defending these characters for so long. We wanted to test to make sure that you're still okay. So we brought up some "Am I the Assholes" for you to. This is a subreddit where people share something from their lives. And then you have to say whether the person who shared it was the asshole, not the asshole, or if everybody sucks here. Okay.
Well, I've come to look at these things differently. So let's take a look.
Yeah. Let's see where we're all at.
So this first one is seasonally appropriate. This one is, am I the asshole for ruining Thanksgiving? I, 30 female, met my boyfriend, 30 male, 3 years ago. Before me, he was together with his high school sweetheart. They fell out of love and broke up. A year later, we started dating. His mom, however, was still heartbroken about it. I was very understanding and thought that she just needed time to get to know me. The ex basically grew up with them and they saw her as part of the family. For the first year of my relationship, his mom would call me the ex's name until my boyfriend got angry once and told her to be nice. She just laughed it off and said it was just a habit. After that, she started calling me the wrong name. Janet instead of Jenny. I corrected her a couple of times, but she seemed to just like hurting me, so I ignored it. My boyfriend has 2 sisters, so a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving, we were invited to a barbecue at the older sister's house. I was in the kitchen with my boyfriend's mom, the sister, and one of their husbands. The older sister then talked about how my boyfriend had praised my cooking. Her husband and the mom were listening. She then said out loud, "Sure, why don't we just let Janet make the turkey this year?" about Thanksgiving. The sisters giggled and looked at each other, and I said, "That's a great idea." I didn't tell my boyfriend what happened. On Thanksgiving, we went to his mom's house with the usual wine and dessert. She was shocked. Everybody was shocked. I said, "What?" "I thought Janet was bringing the turkey." There was yelling and crying. We got kicked out. My boyfriend is so angry with me. He hasn't talked to me since. I think it's over, to be honest, but I don't think I did anything wrong. Did I?
So basically, her boyfriend's family called her the wrong name on purpose. Then they jokingly said, "Hey, you, wrong name. You're going to make the turkey this year."
Why doesn't Janet bring the turkey?
And so
Jenny.
And so she came by and she was like, "Oh, I thought you asked somebody else to make the turkey because that's not my name."
So she the asshole?
The mother is just trying to maintain control in a chaotic situation. You know what I'm saying? So if she's calling her by a different name, that is, yes, to put her a little off balance, but that's because we need her to really put everything into this turkey. So I think Janet.
Yeah. I'm just gonna make a note here, Sam. I'm gonna make a note here as we move on.
Yep.
All right. We got one more.
No. You know what's interesting? You know what's the fascinating thing about this is, again, the whole thing of like, who's the villain, who's not, is when you get to an age and you discover that people that you've grown up with or people that you've known forever or sometimes even family members are antagonistic assholes.
Yes.
And you go, oh, I've got to, and you're basically, your file is, it's not binary. It's this extraordinary wealth of information about this person. And I remember at one point someone saying to me, "Oh, you know, if I met so-and-so now, I wouldn't be friends with him." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? He's a great guy." And then I had to update my file, be like, "Oh, no. He was a great guy under these circumstances and was a greater guy back then. He hasn't actually been a great guy for about 10 years.
Right.
Oh, no. Oh, God." You know, like, so, you know, this boyfriend, you know, he's looking at his mother from an extraordinarily three-dimensional thing, but I don't know that he's really asking himself, what is my girlfriend's experience with my mother alone? Like,
right.
What is her, you know, because this mother did not do the nice things for her over her life that she did for me, so we're judging her based on different criteria. And what is her experience?
Hey, bud.
In-laws are tough. In-laws are always going to be tough.
Yeah. It was only through having serious relationships that I realized that my family's sense of humor is just 10 times too harsh for most people. It's one of those families.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of like, oh, no, this is bad. We all need to collectively cool it. All of us.
It takes a second to get there, right? You're like, no, it's just normal. It's not. Is this not normal? It's not. Oh, wait a second. This isn't normal. You know, like it's that we've all been there where you're like, you've completely accepted something.
And we revert.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we're around our family, we revert back to the person we were in the household growing up, even if that's not who we are now. So we're like, yeah, I'm back in the humor. Oh, shit, I'm sorry. I don't like this either.
Yeah.
My mother recently asked me why I don't bring people home anymore with the phrase, "I was even nice to blank," inserting his name, who's still a dear friend of mine, was a lovely person. So she was like, "What? Why wouldn't you bring someone home? I was even nice to him." And I'm like, see, it's because you said I was even nice to him, who was a perfectly lovely person to you.
Hey, what you working on there, buddy?
What you got?
What you working on there? What's that model you're working on there?
What? Do you see this?
Yeah.
I thought it was out of frame.
Nah, dude. What do you got? Oh.
Just about to start the weathering and stuff, but hey, man.
Oh, that's good.
Communications disruption can mean only one thing. Invasion. You mothers.
I love it.
That's very cool.
I love it.
This is me. You know what it is, and you know, Anthony knows this about me. I just like had to have experiences, right? So I want the experience of ILM Model Shop. That's why I'm like, I want to paint a bunch of Legion figures.
Oh yeah.
And you know.
Oh yeah.
I want the experience of making a cassette. You know. Oh, I made a cassette. Cool. You know. Anyway.
Yeah. Everybody go buy the Crash Tones album. Go buy the Crash Tones album, everyone.
As a person surrounded by boxes of crafting supplies, I fully understand.
Yeah.
Okay, one more. Am I the asshole for walking out of the airport when I saw my husband's mom standing there with her luggage? Here we go.
Oh no.
I, female 30, don't have the best relationship with my husband's mom. Since day one, she has tried to make remarks and compare me to her. She's tried since to get on my good side, started overly praising everything I do, and sometimes even copying me. Like one time when she literally dyed her hair purple just like mine, and when everyone pointed out how ridiculous she looked, she blamed me and accused me of trying to make a joke out of her. So I'm going to summarize and shorten this a little bit for the sake of our time. But essentially, this woman saved up for months to take 2 weeks off of work to go on a vacation with her husband. She was paying for the whole thing, but he was responsible for booking the tickets. They were going to see, just like going through a few different countries. So leading up to it, his mother badgered and badgered and badgered to be taken with on this trip. Repeatedly, she said no. The husband was like, can't we just take her with? It would be easier. And finally, the husband understood and said, fine, I will tell her to stop it and that we will not take her, after campaigning for weeks to come on this vacation. Things got quieter, suspiciously quieter, the day the trip came around, and we got to the airport at 2 p.m. My husband was walking ahead of me and was looking left and right like he was looking for someone. I asked him, but he didn't respond. He led me to the waiting area, and the first thing that I saw was his mom standing there with her luggage. I froze in my spot. I felt a cold wave wash over me, and I was fuming inside. She and my husband were hugging when I quietly turned around and started walking towards the exit. My husband followed me while shouting at me to stop. He tried to stop me. I told him off in the harshest way possible. He tried to say that I was overreacting and that his mom was there anyway, so I should just let her go and not mess up our trip.
She was there anyway. She's just
there anyway.
She's there anyway.
I went home and sobbed into my dog's fur. Turned out he booked her ticket without me knowing. An hour later, he came home yelling and raging about how pathetic and spiteful I was to walk out and go home and ruin the trip at the last minute. I told him he caused this to happen. He said that I was being so hard on his mom, it's ridiculous. I refused to fight anymore, but he kept berating me and calling my family to tell them that the trip was canceled because of me. Did I really overreact?
No.
Yeah, my thing is she was there anyway. So
she was there anyway. She was hanging out there anyway.
Look, you know, Thursdays are her airport day. Mom's
was
always
there
at the
anyway,
airport on
so-
Thursdays.
I think this is open and shut. She was there anyway.
She was there anyway.
Flavortown at the Burbank airport.
She loves to get breakfast at Flavortown every Thursday at the Burbank airport. She just happened to be there.
It's the best there. And then, let's pretend like we don't know her. Nice. Real nice.
That's real rude. We've been dating for how many years?
Yeah. Can I, and I don't want, I'm not saying this specifically about this one that you just read or the other one or whatever, but I definitely, one of the lessons that one learns over their life is no matter how open and shut it sounds when one person tells you the story, you better reserve a few neurons back here for being surprised when you hear the other person's side of the story. You know what I mean? Like, now, I'm not talking about it with any of these particular. I don't know when I would stake my claim on that, because generally, if someone tells you something happened,
but she was there.
Well, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, and you were there, and I was not.
She was there at the airport, Sam. It was happening already.
Yeah. Well, that one's open and shut.
Yeah. I'm just gonna make another note.
Yeah. It is always interesting to hear the other side. And then there are plenty of times where someone tells you their side of the story, and you go, I don't even need to hear the other side. Your side makes no sense.
Yeah, 100%. When you sound bad in your own side of the story.
What's that?
When you sound bad in your own side of the story.
Yeah. And they say some stuff that you're just like, that does not check out with any level of logic or reason,
I will say, for these Am I the Assholes, I didn't specifically scour the subreddit for mother-in-law stories.
There's a lot of them,
There's just a lot of mother-in-law stories, and I noticed there are kind of two types of Am I the Assholes on here. One is horrific. It's just usually between couples, and it's just hey, my boyfriend is punching dogs. Am I the asshole for saying he should stop? And you're like, okay, I don't want to read that. That's not going to be fun. And then it's mother-in-laws. There's no in between. It's either the worst thing you could possibly think of, or a mother-in-law being an asshole. And that's all that's on this subreddit. It's a man being horrifying, or a mother-in-law being embarrassing.
My God.
the world is just a CBS sitcom, really. That's what I've learned. That's what I've learned. Sam, the BBs have a couple questions for you. Number one, before we let you go. Number one is, does Sam play D&D? And I'm gonna open that box and I'm going to back away.
Yeah, I do. In fact, go pick up Art and Arcana from Amazon or Barnes and Noble or your local bookstore. Me and my brother and two other fine gentlemen named John Peterson and Kyle Newman wrote a visual history of Dungeons and Dragons, and we have artifacts and things that people have never seen before, including scans of the original paintings that were the covers of the original books in a quality that has never been printed before our book.
Yeah,
it is on my shelf on the other side of this wall.
I have the slipcase edition that comes with the crypt module, and it's such a lovely. It's a piece of D&D history and art. What you all put together.
What we started that is like, wouldn't it be cool to show this art in a way that's never been shown before? And as we started discussing what art to put in the book, we realized that the art we wanted to see wasn't necessarily objectively the best art. And we're like, well, why do we want to see this pencil sketch, or why are we looking at this? And we're like, oh, because of the historical significance. And then we're like, oh, no, we're making a history book, guys, because no one's ever really done this. No one's ever really told the story from the early 70s to modern day of how D&D happened.
Yeah, and I love seeing that. I love seeing that homemade, in games it's just called programmer art, but I guess in video games, and I guess in tabletop it's just called designer art, where it's just like, I'm going to draw this lich because I'm the only one around to draw this lich. And it's funny that's where it started.
For $3. Yeah. It's totally interesting. It's fascinating. So yes, I play D&D. I actually have been playing for, since the pandemic, a game of basic Moldvay edition D&D with the people I grew up with. And we were shocked. Like, look, we're thinking, 5th edition is like, it's the most recent. It's a really great rule set. So, but we're going to get retro and we're going to play the old basic D&D because retro, right, guys? We're going to play old modules. And then we were shocked when the rule set was actually really good. We're like, oh, this is really fast. It's really rules light. It's really brutal. People get killed in it. It's kind of an awesome game. No wonder this was popular. Right?
A second dog.
All the dogs.
We've been blessed. The other question from the community is, what are the dogs' names?
This is little orange guy. That's Walter. This gray dude is Buster, and then their older brother is Leonard. He's in the other room.
Yeah.
And Walter is a talker. He's a talker.
And then the final question we have is what's the next Lucasfilm thing that we're going to hear you in? And you answer that. You answer that.
Should I answer that? Look, I don't think there's anything. Is there anything wrong with saying what it is? Because I don't want to say what it is, but I will saying the process.
Do like the Disney parks thing where you say like, I'm friends with this princess you might see in Fantasyland. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do that.
A friend of Rapunzel.
I will say that there's something coming up, and it's a cameo sort of thing. It's significant to me. I thought it was super cool. I was like, oh, I want to do that, and then they got to do it, so that's cool. But it's coming up. It's a Lucasfilm thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably within weeks you'll be able to see that, I would say.
Maybe within weeks. Also, speaking of Lucasfilm, can I just say, it feels like, because I talk to people at these cons and stuff like that, and I also look around social media here and there, and while there has been social media has brought up the worst in some people, right? Sure. It's also given people who really are excited a place to vent about that. And there's a whole crop of YouTube videos where people are watching old movies or watching modern TV shows and reacting and having excited reactions rather than talking about how everything sucks. And it makes me feel like, I'm like, wow, Lucasfilm is really making a lot of people happy. I mean, I talk to fans all the time, and I'm just like, we're really getting to do a lot of awesome stuff. Home team is being able to do a lot of really awesome stuff. We've got an Indiana Jones movie coming that looks awesome. Willow's
hysterical. Back.
Really hilarious. And then all this Star Wars stuff. Andor was freaking amazing.
So
and Mandalorian's coming back, and we got to see Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin again, and all this crazy stuff. And the animated stuff has never been stronger. And I remember when I first started working for these guys, in some ways, it was a little bit of an underdog thing because we were doing Clone Wars and we were being told by all the older fans how we were wasting our time. And it's terrible. This Clone Wars thing sucks. And I've come to realize, I'm like, you're ruining Star Wars. That contingent has existed since 1980.
Yeah.
When The Empire Strikes Back came out. And I've had conversations with those people who are like, I mean, it's an okay movie, but it's not Star Wars. It's not a Star Wars movie. There's only one real Star Wars movie, and that's Star Wars. Because when they got to Empire Strikes Back, it got weird. And you're like, wow.
Empire?
Wow, so they ruined Star Wars. It's like, yeah, they kind of ruined it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. All right. They've just been coasting ever since, really.
The thing I always say to
They ruined
people,
Star Wars. And when we were making Clone Wars, we were actively week by week ruining Star Wars. At least that's what I got to enjoy on social media. And so to fast forward, and people were like, the animated stuff is amazing. I'm like, thank you, because I always thought it was good. You know what I mean? Like, so
it's the most Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. If you're a fan of the animated stuff, that's just sheer runtime and everything. There's more Star Wars in the animated series, in the animated universe, than there is in anything else. And so it's like when I meet people who really love the animated stuff, I'm like, oh, you like Star Wars?
yeah.
You like it.
Well, it's interesting that was George Lucas's. The Clone Wars was the last George Lucas produced Star Wars, and that was George just throwing ideas like
maybe he's got spider legs that are, because he's been dragging himself around. The Sith are so obsessed with gathering things, and relationships, and money and power. And what's Maul going to do? He's just going to gather garbage around himself because he's been cut in half and cast aside. So the garbage is actually starting to stick to him and grow out into these spider legs that are animated by the power of his own greed, really, the power of the dark side. And you're just like, this is what we're doing? Yeah. But that's crazy. I know it's crazy, but I'm George Lucas, so just do it.
You're like, just like,
so that was the most amazing thing, to have George spin you off in all these crazy directions, including, for example,
the kids are getting sick because the Snapple on their planet is not made with wholesome ingredients.
And you're like, the separatists, this is how the separatists are made.
No, the separatists aren't involved.
Who's doing this?
Well, there's just a bunch of people who are trying to make money by making bad soft drinks for kids. So let's clean our cup. And you're like,
This man is
so we're just on some other shit this week then, huh, George? We're just doing some other shit. Okay.
When you're trying to do things that have never been done before, yes, you're sometimes going to go off in some strange direction, but I adore the fact that he did. I love the fact that there's literally an episode where Anakin's like, "Hey, R2, 3PO, I need ingredients to make a pie for Padme." And I'm like, this is amazing. We have an episode about how R2 and 3PO have to get ingredients to make a pie.
My favorite episode, I love all the weird ones. My favorite episode is the film noir where Cy Snoodles is the femme fatale.
Dude, that was amazing. That was amazing. It was such a surprising episode. Or for example, Zero the Hutt as a character cracks me up.
So good.
So my thing is because I'm a George Lucas fan. I love getting into. I love, for example, that I'm like, I couldn't have made this if he didn't develop technology at Skywalker Ranch to do digital audio editing and sell it to Avid, and that became Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Or sell the video editing, and that became Avid. And all this crazy stuff that he was doing. So what a pleasure it was to do all this weird experimental stuff on the animated stuff, and then be told by everyone how much time we're wasting and how terrible it is, and then to have a lot of those people turn later and say, actually, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
And then the younger fans who grew up with it became adults, and they're in their 20s and early 30s now, and they're like, we always liked it.
Yeah.
Like, this is cool.
I always say that everybody's least favorite Star Wars thing is the most recent one, and everybody's favorite is the one that was 2 Star Wars ago.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, unless they're kids, because kids are not judging it on that. They're not being judgmental, ego-driven like we are when we get older. We have so many forces that are actually acting upon whether we like something or don't like something. My buddy Frank Darabont calls it the window theory. He's like, when you're a kid, all the way up to about 17 or 18, your window is wide open. So when you listen to an album, you're not listening to what you wanted them to do. You're listening to what they actually did, and you're experiencing that on a much deeper level than a regular adult. You know, if you watch a TV show, you watch a movie, you are really diving into that and engaging on it on its own terms, and therefore you are learning from it. Now, then suddenly, as you get older, you get your own opinions, and that's cool. It's part of how growing up. But your window just closes until you're incapable of really enjoying things on the same level as what Frank was explaining to me. And I'm like, God, I've got to make sure that I try to crack my window open a little bit and watch things on their terms rather than what I think they should have done. For example, like Willow, right?
Yeah.
Like
So good.
like yeah, dude, it's so much fun.
So good.
When I was watching it for the first time, I was like, the dialects are throwing me. And I'm like, wait, why are the dialects throwing me? And then I'm like, well, it's most like a medieval thing, and that would be British. So you're expecting everyone to be British. But wait. In the world of Willow, Migosh wasn't British. He was fully American.
Right.
Mad Mardigan was basically real genius. You know, like, hey, man, how's it going?
Yeah, he was literally from the valley. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then I'm like, oh, so this is a world in which the king and queen was Joanne Whalley, who's British, and Mad Mardigan, Val Kilmer, who's like, hey, guys.
Yeah.
So you're either a Joanne Whalley fan or you're a Mad Mardigan fan, and the whole kingdom is either everywhere between British to American and everything in between. You know, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But I'm like, but if I was a kid, I wouldn't have even asked the question, because when I saw The Princess Bride, I didn't ask the question. You know,
Yeah.
inconceivable. Never asked the question. Just watch the movie. You know, so it's an interesting thing. And by the way, speaking of Willow, I want to bring up that training sequence kills me, because in 50 plus years of fantasy movies and TV shows, we have never hit on that joke. Good job, Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
'Cause clearly that was ad-libbed.
It's very, very good. We don't want to give it away, but you can watch the first 2 episodes are up now. And also, of course, we do want to say the Callisto project, the Callisto protocol is available right now. Go play it. Go watch Sam be a
Caretaker.
Yeah, we'll call it what you will, but go see Sam do it. And also, of course, buy the Crash Tones album. He has cassettes.
Specifically. Yeah, I'm super excited to dive into Callisto Protocol.
Thank you so much, Sam. And of course, watch him stream The Force Unleashed while he's doing that, because you always do fun streams, and I like that you can bring the context of how the whole thing was made to some of people's favorite games. So that's always fun to do.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick BRB and say goodbye to Sam. Sam, thank you very much for having us. Is there anywhere specifically you want people to go and follow you?
I think samwhitwer.com, I guess.
All right.
I guess, yeah.
Where you can get all your Sam Whitwer needs.
All right, we'll be back in just a sec, y'all. Thanks. BBs, we're back.
We're back, BBs, and we just want to say thank you once again to Sam Whitwer. Of course, check out the Callisto Protocol. And we want to say thank you to all of you for joining us today. We really appreciate you, and we appreciate everything you do to help the show. If you're new today because you wanted to come by and see Sam, welcome.
Hi. We do this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific. You can follow the channel. We also do a bunch of tabletop stuff here if you're into that kind of tabletop things. We have tons of VODs available, all for free, also on YouTube if you want to watch it there, if that's your preference. And you can join us for this. We're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere.
Where would we go?
Where would we go?
Where would we go?
Where would we go?
How would we get there?
So, there's a bunch of ways to support us. We are an entirely independently run network. This is just the second bedroom in my home right now. We moved into here recently. We're redoing the set and everything. So, thank you very much for supporting us and making it possible.
That's right.
Ways that you can do so, number one, is just showing up and watching the show. It's free, and that's how we want it to be. But you can also do things like join the Discord, which is also free. You can tweet about the show when it's going live, and you can also support us monetarily. Your subscriptions go to keeping this channel running as a whole. Subscriptions, bits, Patreon, and your donations go to paying for your hosts to eat.
Yeah, we love eating. I love having roof overhead and water and paying. I don't like paying bills, but I like when I'm not being bothered about paying my bills.
Yep.
So thank you for those.
The experience of unpaid bills.
Yes.
So, Anthony, where can they find you on the internet? If not here?
Oh, my stars and garters, Saige, thank you so much for asking. You can find me everywhere online at a Carboni, except for here on Twitch, where I'm at Anthony Carboni. Twitch, you cowards, is mine. Give it back to me. I also have an award-winning science comedy podcast with Jeff Kanata. It's called We Have Concerns. You can find that wherever fine podcasts are sold. And also this week, you can just sort of find me vibing out with Pokemon Violet under a tree when the weather gets better.
And you can find me everywhere on the internet at Not Saige. I stream on my channel Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. But today, I am going to be going live at a time. Keep an eye on my Twitter, Discord, wherever you are. I'll post on all of them for a birthday stream. Because tomorrow is my birthday, and I'm not streaming on my birthday. So we're going to celebrate a little bit early. We'll be celebrating this afternoon at a time. And I will let you know when that time is. So, yeah, come and join me and hang out and celebrate.
It's fun. It's like being activated like a sleeper agent.
Yeah, it's like that. We adore you. Thank you for spending your mornings with us, and we will see you on Monday.
Unless you're a patron, in which case we will see you later today with your very own special clip.
Oh my goodness. Everybody check out the Patreon. All right. Bye, friends.
Bye, beep.